Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday morning. I almost said Thursday. The weeks go by too fast. I don't need to wish the week away. Welcome to today's webinar about hotel and cruise booking tools. Today, we will go over why it's a great idea to have them on your site, other uses for the booking tools, and hopefully give you some new ideas for marketing as well. My name is Mickey Taylor, and I am the founder and CEO of Taylor & Company Travel. And I am also a writer for Agent at Home and Vacation Agent magazines. And hopefully you have seen some of my articles and found them beneficial. And if you don't receive those magazines, add that to your to-do list. It's a free printed monthly magazine. There's two. One comes out, I think, the middle of the month, and one comes out towards the end. But definitely you'll want to make sure you're taking advantage of those magazines. Okay, if you have any questions during the webinar, please go ahead and type them here in the chat section so that I can work them in as we go through the information. I don't normally like to wait until the end to take questions because I feel like your questions sometimes are information sensitive, and I like to answer them as they come up because they're probably more relatable in the moment than waiting to the end. So please feel free. Any question that you have, please just go ahead and type it in the chat box. I'm going to start the webinar just talking a little bit about the booking tools and why it may or may not be a good idea to have them on your website. And I always bring up, if you've been on any of my other webinars about the booking tools or business in general, I always bring up this example where I subscribe to a lot of different blogs, whether it be agents, suppliers, travelers, and I came across a few months ago a blog where it was from an actual agent who said, don't worry about having booking tools on your website. Just let the OTAs take care of that and, get those bookings. But you should focus on, grabbing those travelers whenever their trip doesn't allow them to book it themselves. And one, I couldn't believe that an actual agent was willing to give up business so easily. I think that having booking tools on your website are an easy way to do a lot of things. The first one is to bring legitimacy to your website. We all know that we live in an era where fraud in many aspects is rampant. And when a new person who maybe even has never traveled before and isn't even that familiar with the different travel websites and really how travel works, we want to make sure that our website is giving them a peace of mind to know that this is a legitimate agency. And I feel that having booking tools on your site really does that, because you're not going to be able to just create this tool. It isn't easy to create. And your website being more than just a couple tabs is going to show your visitors or anyone that just stumbles upon your website, oh, this is an actual agency, and that you didn't just throw up the website to try to scam people out of money. So that's the first thing. The second thing is there are a lot of people that, yes, still do like to book their own travel. And that's great. But why should you give Expedia and Priceline and all those other OTAs those bookings? It's free commission for you. And I can guarantee you, when you have these tools on your website and you have a traveler that comes and books either a hotel or a cruise or any type of package that you have the ability to do on your website, and you follow up. Here's the big key. You need to follow sorry about that. You need to follow up with these bookings as if you did them yourself. Anybody that books on your website should have the same and receive the same customer service before, during, and after their trip, even if it's just a hotel. That is a big key to them returning, because they aren't going to get that from any of the OTAs. So when they come to your site and, oh, I'm going to book my hotel, they book that, and then, shortly after their booking, yes, they'll get the confirmation email from the platform for whatever they booked. But then when you or someone, whether it's your admin assistant or whoever, follows up with them and, gives them your spiel of what you'll do, whatever welcome email you have set up to go out to them, that's going to be a shock, and they're going to like that because they don't get that from anybody else. I should say any of the OTAs. So I think, I wouldn't have a website without them. I like having them. And, those people that, you want to get those people when they can't or they don't think that they can book their trip, but they might stumble upon somebody else, another agency or agent. So I want to get them now when I want them coming to my site and booking their easy trips or their easy airline tickets. And I want to start that rapport with them at that point. I don't want to wait and think, oh, down the road, I'm going to get them as a client because they're going to go on another trip. I want to get them now. And that's what the booking tools will help us do. Let me know, give me some feedback too throughout the webinar what your experiences have been. If you've received bookings from your booking tools, what marketing efforts you do to market out to the public and your database that you actually have booking capabilities on your site, etc. I'd love to hear how all of this is working for you as well. So the first booking tool that I want to go over is the easiest one, and it's the hotel booking tool. It's pretty self-explanatory. It comes with your Agent Studio website platform, free of charge, and you can book numerous hotels from it. It's backed by Expedia, so you do have a wide range of options. Here, I have clients that book direct here. I also book from this tool myself. So if I'm doing an FIT trip, and a lot of times if I try direct with the hotel and they're sold out, a lot of times, depending on how the hotel works with like Expedia still might have some inventory. So come to your booking tool and you can search for it. And a lot of times you will be able to find it still available. One of the other reasons why I book direct a lot of the time on our booking tool is not all of the rates are non-refundable. You can get cancellation rates on our booking tool. So if I'm booking an international hotel, and some of you may or may not have had this experience, it is sometimes really difficult unless it's a brand name chain like Marriott, Hyatt, Hilton, etc., to get your commissions from these hotels. When you book through your hotel booking tool, you're guaranteed you're going to get that commission, and you're not going to have to waste a ton of time following up, reaching out to the international hotel, fighting the time change or the time difference and the language barriers to try to get what is rightfully yours. So I do book a lot of the international hotels through here. If you have never done a search on here, it provides great information. I like the tool a lot. I'm just going to pull up a random search. And I pull a lot of information from this booking tool for my itineraries. What I mean is when I create my Travefy itinerary or quote to send out to my clients to say, hey, here's the cost of the trip you asked me to price. All of this information right here, when we go into and pull up a hotel, all of this information is not included, okay? What you get in Travefy, and I'll start just a new itinerary just to show you. Okay, I'm just pulling this up just to show you. Okay, this is what pulls up. Now, normally it gives us an image, but I'm not exactly sure why the image isn't pulling up today. But when I click to edit this, you see that none of that information is filled in. Yes, you could go back to the Secrets website, AM Resorts, pull that information, but why go through the hassle of having to go to their website, figure out where to find the information when you can come right to your hotel booking tool, look up the resort or hotel, and it gives you all the information on the overview page. It gives you, obviously, the information about the resort, their location, the rooms, dining. What I love about this is that it gives you a lot of different attractions and gives you the distance from that resort. It goes through the amenities and then any additional fees or policies at the bottom. I include this information, and I also go to the rooms. I pull up the room that my client is going to book, and because I pulled this up so close to the current date, the only type that is available is the junior suite. But if you bump these dates out far enough, you're going to get, December's probably not, you're going to get a wide variety of room options. And of course, it contradicts me. Let's just jump back once, change the date. I swear I could do this for myself a million times a day and it would be fine. And I do it for you all, and you know, it's only one type. Okay, so here we have multiple types. This is normally what you get. So whatever room type they're staying in, I click additional information, and here is all the particulars about that room type. Copy this, and I add it into my itinerary so that I end up with, let me bring this up. Scroll down to my hotel information, and all of this information was again pulled from our hotel booking tool, as well as the images. Okay, so when you come back, not only we have the overview tab, we have rooms, we have a gallery. So within this gallery are tons of images that you can use either in marketing material, email campaigns, social media posts, or your itineraries. Okay, great photos, portray the resort in a great way. So it's so much easier to come to this tool and pull the information. So that's just an additional way that I utilize the booking tool. Nice. Down a little bit. So I use the hotel booking tool in that regard. Saves me time, and I think you will like it much better. I do also add, if I have the brochure, I add it into my itineraries, but for the most part, I get everything right from our hotel booking tool. Now, a few additional bits of information. I'm going to log into my control panel, and I'm going to bring up the control panel, or the booking engine manager. So when you go to booking engine manager, if you have the hotel and the cruise booking tool, you will see the cruise booking manager as well. Now, if you click on your hotel booking report tracker, gives you pertinent information at the top, who to email, who to call. It isn't a long hold time. You get right through. They know you're with Agent Studio. It's a direct line for us. And then you can scroll through and you can see all of the bookings that you've made. And if you need to pull something up, click on the itinerary number. Oh, and it's obviously going to give me fits today. Let's take this one. Okay, so tells you all the information about this booking. Okay, so you can come here. You also, once somebody books, which somebody asked me the last time, so how do I know when somebody is booked or made a booking through my booking tool? You get an email notification. So you can follow up either from that, or you can come in here and you can get all of the information from that particular guest. And I strongly suggest that you take that person's information, go to your marketing center, and immediately add them into your database, because you want them to start receiving all of the marketing campaigns that are going out either by yourself or those campaigns that are being sent by Agent Studio on your behalf. Okay, also under in the control panel, you can get a commission history report. So if you need to know, you want to see information on what you were paid and when, it gives you all the different hotels, like one by one. So you might get, like I got all of these 1214s all in one paycheck or one commission check. And it's great that it doesn't come in one lump sum. I can see the breakdown and I know what I was paid. So if I need some information about this for some reason in my record keeping, which I use TravelJoy for tracking commissions, and I can pull up this. I go into TravelJoy to mark it off, and this commission is different. Whether it's higher or lower, I can pull up the reservation and look and see what the difference was. Rarely is there a difference. If there is, it's usually because they either cut out a day, or they added a day, or upgraded their room to a different room type, that type of thing. The checks are mailed. I've never had an issue receiving my commission from Agent Studio. The only time I've ever had a problem is when I personally lost the check. One thing I wish they would do is send them direct deposit, which would make life super easy, but I would trade getting a check and having to deposit it to having to track down commissions all the time. So it is a great tool to use. And again, across the board, whoops, I'm bringing up an email. Across the board, 10% commission, which is the norm in the travel industry. So I apologize, my mail's opening. Any questions about the hotel booking tool and its uses and how to utilize the information for, and even if you don't use Travefy, I love Travefy, so I think it's fabulous. And if you haven't tried it, you definitely need to, because it will make your life so much easier. But you can still utilize this same hotel information for whatever way you send out your quotes to your clients. So it isn't just for Travefy. You can utilize that information for any, oh my goodness, any itinerary tool that you might use. Well, if there aren't any questions in regards to that, the only other thing I have about the hotel tool, and this covers the hotel and cruise commissions, is this is where you can find the commission payment information. So if you happen to move or your office changes, or you're with a host and now you're not with a host, you definitely want to make sure that this information is up to date, because this is where your checks will go. So make sure that you do update this information. You can submit that to support at Agent Studio and request the information be updated. Now on to the cruise booking tool. If nobody has any questions concerning the hotel booking tool, I'm going to jump back to cruises. I hate this stupid spam that I get on my computer. Okay, I brought up the cruise booking tool, and you can see there's over 16,000 itineraries available in here. So one thing before I even dive into showing you the cruise booking tool, I want to share with you one of the things that I have started using this tool for, and it has saved me a ton of time. We all know, as you look, 16,000 itineraries. Somebody comes to you, even if they've already cruised, they still might not know. They know they want to go on a cruise, but they don't know anything else. I really don't care where I go. I just want some options. You know, I want it to be during this time frame, July 20th. Somewhere, I want to leave somewhere around July 20th. So what I do is I come in, and if whatever their criteria is, whether they have a particular cruise line or just a certain sail date or cruise length, any information that they provide to me, I come into the tool, I pull up, I type in, put destination, and I basically duplicate these fields in an email or correspondence to my client based off of their feedback of what they told me, whether it's a lot or a little. And we're going to assume that all they gave me was a July cruise date, and they want 7 to 9 nights. That's it. So based off of that information, it still only narrows it down to 571 itineraries. So I go through, fill out all this information, tell my client, I kind of make it into not really a game, but I hype it up and make it sound like, you know, this is the way that they can start to experience what their vacation is going to be like. And I ask them to come in and narrow this list down. I tell them, you're going to get, you know, over 500 itineraries. Please search through these and then narrow it down to 3 or 4 itineraries. You know, when they come in here and they start to look and see, oh, well, I guess I do have a budget. You know, I want to stay below $2,000. So then when they put that in and start to search, well, didn't narrow it down much. 571 itineraries. Okay, so I asked them to go through and start looking at the available options to them and send me back a couple choices that they think they would like. And then I will go into a little bit more detail, asking them so that I can qualify them even further. But I use this cruise booking tool to qualify my cruisers when they reach out to me, because especially first-time cruisers, they can soak up a lot of your time. And I know we're all busy, so anything that we can do to shorten that time that we have to spend not really creating itineraries or sharing information with them, the better. Okay. So that's the first thing that I do. And it's worked out great. My clients love it. They love the fact that they can come in here and they can put in a few criteria and filter out a lot of the different itineraries. And they're going to get, 571 options. And they don't have to go to the Carnival website, the Norwegian website, the Viking website. They can get all of the options right here. Anything that's available that matches their criteria or their filters will all show up. So that's a huge plus. And even if your clients don't book direct themselves, they're going to come back to you and say, okay, this is what I want to book. And I book directly through here. Sometimes it just depends on the situation, but for the most part, if somebody comes to me directly and asks about booking their cruise, I will book it through here. And when I go through and show you the back end, the tools that are available, I think you will quickly see why it's so much easier to have all of the information that is provided in the manager, as opposed to having to call the cruise line over and over. Okay, so to show you what is included, I'm going to just jump in here and pick one of these options. So again, here is a lot of information given to you. Gives you the port, arrival, departure. It gives you some information on the ship. So when your client looks and brings up the information or brings up the itineraries, they aren't just going to see that information. They're going to be able to read this, see all of this. And when they click wherever you're going, this leads them back to the destination on your website. Another great feature that you don't get from any of the cruise line websites. And they can also click on pricing. And then they can view rooms and see the different category costs. Okay, now, if they are ready to book one of these, I'm going to come up here and I'm going to do another search. I'm going to refresh this. And I want to do the Caribbean. I'm going to pick some specific criteria. Okay. Now, I am now in the actual, not the cruise search, but the cruise booking tool. And if you're wondering, so at the top, this is the booking tool. And at the bottom is the actual cruise search, okay? The cruise search automatically comes with every Agent Studio website. So now there's 6 choices. And when we can come down through here, and I also tell my clients, not only they can get information from the search option, but they can come in here and act like, and I inform them and tell them to come in and act like they're going to book, because there's additional information that is provided. So let's take this 10-night Holland America cruise. We're going to click on book now, and I want to show you all of the information that is available not only to you, but to your client. So if somebody calls you and you get a call and they're asking about a specific itinerary, the easiest place and the quickest place for you to get that information, unless you know it by heart, and if you do, I'm very jealous, because in my brain, there are way too many ships, way too many itineraries. I can't keep it all straight. But I can sound like I know it all, because I can quickly go into my booking tool, pull up the particular cruise that they're requesting or asking a question about, and I have all of this information. I can look at the ship info that gives me the dining, specialty dining options. And that should have been a link. Now, I am in Auburn, so I'm right next to the campus, and today's first day of classes. So sometimes when all the kids are back, my internet does act up a little bit. So I apologize for that. But you can see all of the information that is available. Okay, it's a lot of information, and a lot of great information. Okay, here's a little bit more about the ship. Now, as I'm doing this and looking for information to answer their question, I also want to point out that, like with the hotel booking tool, I do the same thing with all of my Travefy itineraries for a cruise. Because when I come over and let's see, Holland America, April 1st. So I'm going to come in here and put April 1st and show you what pulls up with the cruise option in Travefy. Click on cruise, and this is America. The cruise ship is Miss, whoops. Now I'm going to, you can add the information, and just like the hotel, it's kind of empty. So it does tell us each day where we're going to be, the arrival and the departure, but it doesn't give us any information, and it normally doesn't give us any images. Okay, so I definitely come in here and I pull this information out and I build up my cruise itinerary or quote for my clients, because a lot of times it could be the wife that's looking for the trip or the cruise, and then she's going to share it with her husband. Well, you don't want to send them this and say, hey, it's, $1,500 per person. You want to add the additional information in, and I pull that from here. Now, along with all of the ship information, we can get stateroom information. And this is super helpful for your clients, especially those that have never cruised before. They're in here, they can read about each one of the room types and learn the differences and understand why, a suite is going to be so much more than, an inside cabin. All right, all of the different, everything, every type is included. And as we all know, there are a lot of different types. So they can read and understand. And again, I pull this information from here. If they want a quote for a couple room types, I will pick whichever one I think they're leaning towards, or the most expensive one, and include that in the itinerary. But then I'll go in and add under info and put optional cabin type, and then put the description, the images, and then give them, if you would like this cabin type, the cost for 2 people would be $27.99 or whatever it might be. So you can easily add in those alternatives because you have this information right at your fingertips. Okay, deck plans. I love, this is one of my favorite parts about this tool. You can see all the decks that are on the ship, can click on it and see everything about it. You can get images, descriptions. So it's super, super interactive. And if you click on one of these, it'll take you right to the information about it. So very interactive, very informative. And even though you picked a date, if there were sailing dates that were also close that fit the criteria, it would give you those as well. Looks like the only other one is March 11th up to that point. And policies. Definitely something that we need to include in all of our quotes. And everything is here, from pregnancy, their smoking policy, minor accompany, cancellation, all of that is here, and a gallery. Whoops. So I also pull for my cruises all of my images right from here. Okay, normally if I right click, I can either save it to download, which is what I do, and then I'll take them and store them in a folder somewhere on iCloud. You know, you don't even have to store them. They're here. So you can easily come back and grab them again. But everything that you could want is in here. Any questions so far about the information? I know that I have given, shared a lot of that with you about how to incorporate this information into to be a sales qualifier for your clients. Also, how to easily grab this information from here and put into your Travefy itinerary. So I'm going to go through and just walk through a little bit of what the booking process looks like. And then we will touch upon briefly what all is included in the booking tool manager. So we're going to come in, we're going to go all out, and we're going to book a suite with this one. And you see that it brings up right here, you have the available rooms. Unlike calling in, they'll have to tell you, you'll have to look it up online, figure out where it's at. You can click this. Whoops, it wanted me to put in my passenger information. Okay, so we're going to grab one and continue as a guest. Okay. Now we have the passenger. It brings you to the passenger information. It gives you the total. It gives you any promos. The onboard credit per stateroom is $400. Cruise full payment. You can put in the dining preferences. You can put in your bed preferences, and then your guest information. And then this I also like, because if you have a group of, a few couples, like 3 couples traveling together, they're obviously not enough to actually form a group, but we can link them. So after you book the first one, you can input, say yes here, and then you can add in their reservation number and add any comments. Please put these on the same floor, whatever the comment might be. So you can add that, and then when you continue, let's put in some quick information. I'm just gonna grab, whoops. Make up some information, just to put it in here. It's probably gonna tell me I meant to grab Alabama. I should have just done one person, so that's all I needed to fill in. And you can do this as well, walk through this booking process. You just don't obviously enter the card at the end. Okay, no past traveler number, none of this. So then continue. And then this gives you basically a summary of everything. And the itinerary again, if you want to add in a transfer, you can come in here and we want the transfer. So let's do whatever. And also you can, now there isn't any pre-cruise accommodations, it's just the transfers, but as you see, there are post-cruise accommodations. So maybe we want that as well. And you can save those add-ons. And now it has updated everything. Here are the add-ons, our total. Full payment, confirm booking. And of course, we need to put in our credit card information. This is where you would do that, put in the billing address, and then complete the reservation. So super easy. It's a great tool. It's set up very well. And it provides a tremendous amount of information. And for cruises, that's vital because cruising, I think, is one of the first things. If somebody wants to go on a vacation and they reach out to me, the first thing they say is, I haven't gone on a trip in a while. I think I want to go on a cruise. You know, a lot of people want to try because cruises can be inexpensive as well. A lot cheaper than taking, you know, flying to an actual resort. So for that reason, you know, a lot of people like to do a cruise. So I'm going to jump into the cruise booking manager, and I did have issues getting into this a little earlier, so hopefully it will cooperate. At the top, you will have some basic information, and you will have very helpful list of phone numbers. And, you know, if you keep a spreadsheet with this information, you can highlight this and copy and paste it into a spreadsheet as well. If you want them somewhere else, if you want to print them out, they're easy to print out that way. Okay, now what we're looking at now is basically the cruise booking manager. At the top, you do have the ability to search again. You can search in here for cruises, and we can come down to the bottom and it will give you like today's or the last 7 days bookings. I want to go up and search for, I'm going to actually search for a name and pull up a booking. Okay, so one cruise. Okay, we can scroll down and we can see all of the information about this cruise. Okay, we can click on manage, and then you will see this fairly large menu at the bottom. So you can click on agent details, and what that brings you to is basically a summary of the cruise. Okay, the PNR, the confirmation number, the cruise line. Okay, all of the information. Now, obviously, I can't make changes because this cruise is already sailed, but if they would have insurance, that information would be here. Any packages, any special services. Okay, I did mark, it was my friend's husband's 50th birthday. any rules that they may have booked under. And you could also send, there are many places where you can send an email to your customer from in here if you wanted to. Okay, details, basically the same thing. I'll click in here so that you can see. Okay, basically it goes through it just in a different format. This looks exactly like the screen where we booked from. Customer receipt. You can come in here, you can print this page. At the bottom, you can also send an email. Okay, now I'm gonna have to let her know that I sent her an email because she'll be wondering, why did I get this again? But I use this cruise because it's my friend, so it's one of the names I know. So she gets that quite often. We can print her receipt, okay? Or you can save it as PDF, save it in your files, your information. Let's get rid of this, go back. Okay, history. So this provides us a detailed list of everything that has happened with this cruise. So this is extremely helpful if you have a client that's very indecisive, things are always changing. There aren't many here at all because she didn't change anything, but we also can click Get Supplier History. There's probably is the same as out. Whoops. Went too quick. Okay. And this is all the information from the supplier. Okay, you see they filled out their information, waiver. So you can come in here and this is information we don't receive or can't. When we book direct with the cruise lines, we don't get this information. It's super helpful. I did have a group that was too late to really book as a group. So I had 16 cabins that I had to book, and this information made it extremely helpful. If you are needing to change the status, you can do that in here. Okay, you can see all of the options that are in here. And if you want the customer to have an email when this status is changed, you can keep that checked. If not, you can uncheck it, write a description in here, and then click submit. And then it would go to the supplier. Again, you can send an email from within. Okay, who it's to, down at the bottom. You can, this is a default information, but you can delete this out and type in your own note if you want to. You can cancel the cruise or the booking. You thought it was fraud, it's a test booking. I've never had fraud with a cruise. I've never had fraud on either of my booking tools. The payment details. It will, like you can see, it blocks out most of the credit card number. But I have had clients come back and say, hey, what credit card did I give you? And you can give them the last four. Any rules, again, if you just want to see, okay. Okay, that was something that we had access to. The rules we would see in the beginning, any rules that they booked under, this is to actually change the rules. I did in the very beginning when the tool went live. Before that, I was able to get in there, but not an area where we are really allowed to go to. And again, this is just a cross check. Okay. There weren't any updates to the prices, nothing changed. They were on deck 9, that's the deck we requested. and that's their cabin number. Okay, and you can also put notes into here. Okay, we can click add a note. Any notes, booking notes would appear here. Any notes from the customer would appear here. And then we can add a note. Test note. Public. Add as a customer note. Click this, it would show up there. Add the note. And then it would show up here. Any questions? I know that's a lot of information to take in, but I definitely wanted to, I like to go through and share with everyone exactly what is involved in your manager. Cheryl raised her hand. Cheryl, you can either ask in the type your question in the Q&A section, or you can type it in the chat box. Okay, while we're waiting for Cheryl to type her question, I just want to reiterate that I know it was a lot of information, but I think it's important for everybody to see what type of backend is supporting the cruise booking tool, because it is really powerful. The information makes your life a lot easier, and I would hope that everybody would give it a try and take a look at the cruise booking tool. Now, if you don't have the cruise booking tool as part of the package that you're on, you can add just the cruise booking tool by coming into your control panel and clicking on add on or new features. Let's see. Cheryl, if you can type your question in the chat, or if sometimes people don't see that as easily, so you can type it in the Q&A and I will address your question. Now, some of you, if you are with a host agency, some host agencies have disallowed you to have the cruise booking engine on your platform or on your website, so that is something that you will want to discuss with them. But if you are in a package that does not contain the cruise booking tool, this would be green, and you could click to, it would be just like this, buy add-on, and you could click to add that on. Questions? Not yet. Okay. The webinar will be recorded, and it was recorded. All of them are, and then Agent Studio uploads them to their Agent Studio YouTube channel. You will receive an email probably within 24 hours. Sometimes it comes sooner than that. But Agent Studio has, since we left the terrible platform of Webinar Ninja, because it was so terrible, we came back to Zoom, and Agent Studio promised me that they would get the recordings up within 24 hours after the webinar has ended. So it will have, the email you get tomorrow will have the link to this actual page, to the videos page. And they don't have yesterday's up yet. I actually just sent it to them this morning. So it will be up by the end of the day today. But you can see Marketing Center Basics. So anything that is really long, you'll know that's one of my webinars. Any of these little short 20, 30, 40-second clips are just marketing tips and tips on how to start your agency off right in 2018. One thing I do like to recommend is going back and looking at different webinars on the same subject, because different people attend, different questions are answered. You know, sometimes the webinar goes in a different direction based on a question. So you definitely can pick up different tips and ideas and get questions answered that maybe you didn't ask during the webinar. Somebody else may have asked it in a different one. I know our time is limited, but if you ever do have the additional time, I like to recommend that. So any questions? That is pretty much all the information that I have about the hotel and cruise booking tools. I personally think that they're great to have, and if any of you have any questions about the booking tools after the webinar is over, you can reach out to support, the Agent Studio support team, or myself. My email is included in the email that you received with your webinar confirmation. You also can come in the back of your control panel, click on Help Center, and you can click on Agent Studio Help. You also, excuse me, I'm getting the hiccups. You also can click here to submit a support ticket to ask your question. But this Help Center is the new Agent Studio Zendesk. So you can come in here and search, and what this does, it will give you related articles or information based on the search criteria. Okay, so let's click this, and then once this comes up, you look at an article, you can look at the left-hand side and you will see another list of different articles that will relate in some way to the article that you looked up and read. It is, I always ask everyone, if you read the article and it was helpful, please go ahead and mark yes or no, because that is what will give the support team at Agent Studio an indication of what is and isn't helping you. And before I end, I will ask everybody if there are any other questions at this time about anything regarding the cruise or the hotel booking tools. And there aren't any there. So that is going to conclude today's webinar. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. I hope that you found some information that is very useful that you can use in your own travel agency. If you are looking to sign up or would like to see a list of the upcoming webinars, that can also be found in your control panel under Agent Studio Academy. And that is where you can sign up for these courses. So have a great rest of your day, and hopefully I will see you all on another webinar. Thanks everyone for coming.